can spend all the print budget in the world, but the reality is if your product sucks or your customer service is terrible and your friend, your customer tells a friend, just don't bother, you will never reach that person. So we are predominantly a word-of-mouth consulting firm rather than a social media agency. So let's just get that clear from the start. But we do have a great knowledge of social media. I myself have a background actually in, scroll forward really quick. My background is Yahoo Indonesia. I was working for an investment bank in New Zealand for about 5 years, managing their media and digital arm. So a great experience from the publishing side. And then, of course, moved into the middle, the agency side as well. So some of our clients include some of these brands across Southeast Asia. Here in Indonesia, we manage the Aqua business as well as the CIMB business, the Microsoft business. We've also just recently picked up a project for HP and Axis as well, the telco. And yeah, we work with a number of different people on a variety of different things, from the strategic and consulting layer through to the technology and the applications that are involved in social media. And at the bottom we have, of course, the community managers, the people who interact with your customers on a day-to-day basis through either Twitter, Facebook, or LinkedIn, or Google+. So we have the full suite, I guess, of opportunity for you guys in digital. Yeah, you don't need to see that, I'm right here, so there we go, let's move forward. Okay, we're going to focus a little bit about digital now. There's not a lot of research in this market, unfortunately. Nielsen doesn't have a Nielsen net rating set up. TNS does a one-a-year survey, and this is an 80-page booklet that comes out once a year. It's called the ADMA 2012 Marketing Handbook, and there's about 5 slides on Indonesia, and there's a lot of information in here to digest. Just really take that into consideration. Why do Indonesians go online? And you can see here it's mostly to get inspired, education, research, and that just shows a great thirst for knowledge. It's about the education. So people are actually online for research purposes, to find out more, to be able to interact. Okay, and the second thing here, when we look at e-commerce as an opportunity, 17% clothes, travel, and books. And I come from an overseas market where e-commerce is now probably about 4 years ahead of Indonesia. But when I left that market, that's kind of roughly the same numbers, right? Hotels.com, WeGo, sort of all the online travel agents are now very quickly shifting. Well, the bricks and mortar travel agents are shifting to online. There is no Amazon here, there is no eBay, but there's Toko Bagus, there's Boneka, there's a whole lot of other local players that are doing some fantastic work here. So really what we're seeing here is the early stages of e-commerce behavior in the Indonesian market for digital. That's a statement at the top. Do you believe that? Yeah, that's pretty much true. Now, interestingly enough, a lot of people say to me, but that's a Western market. Yeah, that's European. Europe's going to be about the same. The UK is the same. Australia is probably the same. Well, guess what? It's just happened in our own backyard. China as well. Media spend in China will overtake, internet spend will overtake print for the first time in 2012. Okay, so that's spend. Let's look at Indonesia as regards to reach, not spend, because my God, we're way behind print here, okay? But the reality here is that reach, a representative of the purple slide, has grown from 2009 through to 2012. We are now passing, not spend, but reach. The amount of people that are actually being reached through internet these days is now passing print. So first time this year. This is data done by TNS and supplied to Yahoo. All you really need to take from this trend is the growth. The reality is they're predicting by 2015 that close to 170 million people in Indonesia will be online. And what does that mean for your brand? Are you in a position now to be able to capitalize on that new growth, that new opportunity that's moving very, very quickly? Let's look backwards. This is from Q3 2004, right through to Q4 2009. So that's a 5-year trend. Again, don't worry about all the fancy numbers in there. The reality is you just need to see that. It's not going down, it's not stagnant. Well, it has gone down a little bit in the 55 to 64 category, but it picked back up again. Okay, so the overall trend year on year, month on month, week on week, day on day is growth. It is a position where you as business owners, you as senior team managers, you guys need to have a strategy and a position in the digital space. So that's kind of a background on digital. Are there any questions about that? I mean, I could spend hours, trust me, but I thought we'd just give you a quick, nice top-line synopsis. Let's talk about mobile. Can I have a quick show of hands? How many people here have more than one phone? It's just about everyone. I don't know, so that's okay. There are 210 million SIM connections and 180 million mobile phones in the market as we speak. That's growing, of course. At the present rate, there's smartphones, 36% penetration. In rural areas, it's 22%. Nielsen predicts that by 2013, 60% of all the phones in this market will be smart. Right? Smart simply means app capable, enabled to access the web and get emails. Right? In fact, in 2010, 80% of all mobiles sold were smart. So you can see there that this is a new generation of technology that's being flooded into the market. How connected are they? Well, we're seeing significant growth in Facebook year on year, month on month. In fact, in January last year, it was 34.4, and in this year, there's 42.6 million online. On Facebook accounts. Jakarta is ranked as the #1 world city with 80% penetration. 8 out of every 10 people in Jakarta have a Facebook account. A little bit mind-blowing, really, but okay. Let me just throw this number out there. What's 20% of 240 million? 48 million, right? That's pretty big. But then I say here that internet usage is between 20 and 40%. There is a huge gap between 20 and 40%. How come I can't give you real numbers? All right, I need to step back a little bit. How do we measure a unique visitor? Okay, how do we measure a person is online or not? The way you do it is not by browsers or physical people, it's by IP addresses, right? IP address is called Internet Protocol address. It's what your registration is on the computer, on one specific PC or laptop. Taiwan, for example, has more IP addresses than people, right? So the internet penetration rate in Taiwan is at 110% of the population, all right? Here, unfortunately, what this means is that we do not know exactly how many people are online right now because of a little word called warnet. How many warnets are there in Indonesia? Oh my gosh, we thought about doing a survey at Yahoo and we just gave up halfway even trying to research this. Unfortunately, the government does not give us this documentation. So number one, we don't know how many warnets there are. But each warnet is represented as one IP address. And each warnet has like maybe 10 computers, yeah, right, on average?
Yes.
And how many people go to those 10 computers per day?
Yeah.
I don't know. Without sitting with a clipboard, it's almost impossible. So the reality here is we don't know how many people are online, because when Compass quotes, or Yahoo.com or Google that says, you know, we have 100 million unique visitors, that's not 100 million people. That's 100 million IP addresses per month. So it's so uncertain. But what we do know is that there are 20 million IP addresses registered in this country. So there are 48 million IP addresses, if that makes sense. Internet Protocol addresses. And as you can see, Twitter ranks Indonesia 6th in the world with 15 million accounts at the moment. We all love our tweets. Okay, how they're connecting. BlackBerry growth year on year at 35%, so they are still the market leaders at the present with 42% market share. Whether that will stay for long, it's anyone's guess. Next generation smartphones are on the way, and that includes things like RFID, NFC, near-field communications, radio frequency identification, the ability to tap Google Wallet. It's going to be integrated with your MasterCard or your Amex or whatever, your Visa. And you can pay for your movies, pay for your Bluebird taxi simply by tapping your phone. You can already do it in Starbucks China, for example. 87% of tweets come from a mobile phone, right? Also now, so that's kind of the digital and mobile overview, but I think what you need to look at is the long-term trend of where the Indonesia population will be by 2020 as well, and who has access to this technology now, and where we will be in 8 years' time. And the reality is that 117 million, or 43% of the total population, will be under 25. And that means that they will have grown up with this stuff in their hands. They will have watched movies on demand via their mobile, and they would have tablets and all that sort of stuff. Well, they have had access to it at least. And 130 million people will be living in urban centers. So keep this in mind. This is why they're predicting that between now and 2015 and beyond as well. Again, some projections by Frost & Sullivan Research Company expects that internet penetration by 2015 will grow from 14% to 37%. We're also seeing internet mobile users between 18 and 27 will be at 53%. Okay, we'll go to this one. Mobile penetration in 2015 will be up. So there will be more mobiles in this market than people by 2015. Interesting. And as I said before, in 2010, 80% of all mobiles were internet capable. Okay, so that's digital, and that's a snapshot of mobile. And let's now take a snapshot of the social element. Who's the most connected in Indonesia? Well, let's have a look, shall we? This is a nice little pie chart that gives you a breakdown of all the all the Facebook accounts in Indonesia right now. You can see the biggest majority here, 41%, is the 18 to 24. That's the kind of marketing sweet spot, I guess, right? Then after that, in the red, you can see here is the 25 to 34 age group at 21%. And then you have 16 to 17-year-olds here represented by 16%. Now if you look at these numbers, this is a 6-year gap, right? 18 to 24. Okay, so that's 41%. However, 16 to 17 is a 2-year gap. And you can also see 13 to 15 is a 2-year gap. And how do those numbers look in millions? I come from a small country. It's called New Zealand. Right? 4-point-something million of us. A million of us overseas, in fact. I'm one of them. But some of my clients here say to me, well, you know what, we're in the insurance business, we're in the financial sector business, and you know, we don't really want to target anyone under the age of 35. So that's okay, no problems. Let's add those up, shall we? The 35 plus represents 6, 8, 10. 10% of 42 million is the population of New Zealand. And it seems to me like, why wouldn't you want to reach an entire country of people? But of course, it's a different concept here. We're playing with massive numbers. We're playing with vast amounts of people, and of course, it requires research. You've got logistics, you've got customer service issues, but still, there are literally 10 or 4.5 million people over the age of 35. And the biggest growth demographic on Facebook at the moment is 35 plus. It's you guys. No, I'm just kidding. It's 30 plus. It's you guys. It's me as well. Don't worry. It's me as well. Okay, so that's just a little snapshot. The most connected in Indonesia. Did you know? She's the most connected. And that gentleman, has anyone met Mr. Mario Teguh? I'd love to meet the man. In fact, he's up to now about 6 million fans. When he posts something, 700,000 people like it. It's amazing. And the most connected brand is something I would have never expected in an Islam country, in a Muslim country. This looks like a brand that might be popular in surf area in Australia, Gold Coast, for example. And that is the most followed brand here. And it's not just B2C that's getting involved in this social craze. B2B as well. Traditionally, an embassy would not really want to be involved in communications to the public, right? Well, apparently not. This is one of the media touch points that they're using. And in fact, if you look at the list, these are MNCs, these are high-profile local companies that have all invested heavily over the past 2 years into Facebook. And now the rewards are paying off. 2011 was the year of the fan. It was a fan acquisition program. They spent thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars on being the biggest fan. Because why? Because, well, for example, XL Rame was competing with Telkomsel, and Tango Wafer was competing with Chocolatos, and it was just this big, my page is bigger than your page kind of thing. The big question now arises in 2012 is, great, I have 1 million, 2 million fans. Now what? What am I supposed to do with them? Yeah? So this is where the next level of business, I guess, consulting and strategy comes in from Vocanic, is to understand that you have this media, and now what do you do with this media? How do you sync that to your loyalty programs, your CRM programs, your specific trial, all these kind of types of ideas that you can start to throw in as part of your business objectives, not just your marketing, right? This is now taking social media across the business units, getting the CMO, the CFO, the customer service team involved. What's fueling that growth? There's a lot of questions around that. Why has it gone through the hockey stick? And there's a couple of reasons, I believe. These are my personal opinions. Feel free to challenge them. I believe that as a culture, the Indonesian people are very warm, very friendly, very family-orientated. And it was a very social and collectivist culture. If you get invited to a wedding, expect hundreds of people there. People from your village, your company, your friends, your alumni, your teachers, everyone's going to be there. haven't seen you in 20 years. Ah, but you're here. Well done. You're already sharing offline in the real world. Right? So when the digital world came along, it was a no-brainer. Just, yeah, why not? I'll just simply do the same thing, but on a digital space. On top of that, because if you live in Jakarta Utara, for example, but you unfortunately get a job in Jakarta Selatan, you end up having to move there because the reality is you're not going to commute. Like going from Jakarta Selatan to Jakarta Utara, you're better off going to Singapore, right? Seriously. So the reality is you just can't get around all these people that you know on a regular basis. So why not connect with them digitally? It's easier, it's faster, no problems. The other thing is that, there's a lot of hobbies in this market, from all the art communities through the fixie bike wheels communities through to all this kind of amazing amount of culture and rich heritage and the batik communities there. And so these guys all kind of form little groups. They're called tribes, really, in this sort of digital world. But the reality is that became very, very powerful here as a tool to be able to connect with other people and what their shared interests were. And the final thing was, in 2010 when I arrived, every single telco was offering free Facebook and free Twitter. So why SMS when you can tweet? Right? Why pay 1 rupiah, 2 rupiah for an SMS? I'll just open a Twitter and I can tweet. It costs me nothing. So it's almost like the telcos threw